So I thought I'd do a quick update on the old Unimog. The list has grown in regards to what maintenance and bits I need to do before it goes back on the road. So in the engine bay, what have we had to do? We have put a new thermostat in because it wasn't quite getting up to temp. And these old engines from Mercedes don't actually have any preheat or any glow plugs on them. There is a device in here called Start Pilot, which is down here in that little flap. And I've done some research, and that's basically like starting fluid, a bit like Easy Start. But my theory was, yes, I don't like using Easy Start on anything. But it's not Easy Start you put in it. It's a special liquid you've got to order from Mercedes. Well, if it was fitted by them factory, is it, are you not meant to use it? I put it on a forum and got quite heavily scolded when I asked where I could get the fluid from. Anyway, basically what it does is there's a little twisty pump inside the cab down by the right. And as you twist that and pump it, it's like a primer basically. Shoot some of that start fluid in and it will start on the key. The reason that I wanted to look at that is when we had that cold spell and we're into the minus numbers, it was a bit cold turning over. However, we've since put a battery on it, fresh battery, which has helped. However, I'm convinced that the battery we got is still not the right one. I think we want a higher cranking speed. Because if you put the booster on it first thing, just for 5 minutes, it will start within a second or two, just like my old one. But if you don't have that first thing, then it always goes. It just seems to take a little bit more turning over. And then because we don't have the glow plugs or any sort of preheat, they overfuel when they're cold, I believe. So there's quite a lot that comes through the exhaust. And in my shed here, I've got someone next door, the other side of that cladding, and it goes straight through into their building and gasses them out. And they're not very happy about it, which is fair enough. But yeah, I just want to see if we can get a cleaner burn on it. But we've got the thermostat done, so it'll run up to temperature. Yes, we put the grill and the bonnet and everything back on after it was resprayed, so that looks tidy. We've had a few electrical gremlins. So the heater wasn't working. I'm just going to climb up here. So the heater wasn't working for whatever reason on here. Matey that had it before had bypassed it and put two little 12-volt units up there. But that's not, that's not going to clear the whole window, and I like stuff to be back to how it should be. So Ben has been having a look at that from BC Agri. You see, this is a prime example, is this switch someone's put in, and that's the temperature gauge for the turbo, because there's an aftermarket turbo on this that's boosted it apparently to 150 horsepower, and it should be 130 on the book. So it'd be interesting to put a dyno on it and see. Anyway, I've obviously left that on because the only indication you've got to turn it off is remembering to turn that up, look. So I've left that on, so that will have drained the battery. The tacho's permanently on. I need to brush up on my tacho rules, but I'm sure it must be on so it can measure your rest when you're sleeping, and so it has to be live, really. Not that should be taking a lot of power. We also had the horn operating the rev gauge, so there's quite clearly an earthing issue there somewhere. We've ordered a oil pressure sensor because that always reads 5, but apparently that's buggered in there. The thermostat has fixed our temp problem, so that rises up and sits just below 80, which I'm quite happy with. And then I've had to replace the fuel sender, and we've had a new fuel sender come, but what we think is happening is it's earthing out on the tank itself. So we plug it all in, and it works when you move the lever by hand. I've got a full tank and then an empty tank when he moves it. Soon as he seats it on the tank and puts it on, the gauge becomes inoperable. So whether it's meant to have some sort of rubber seal between the bottom of the sender unit and the top of the tanks to stop it earthing like that, I don't know. Well, that's what we're going to try. We're going to put a bit of rubber between it and see. Seem to remember that we might have had an issue with that on my last Unimog, which was a 1450. So yes, we've hopefully got to the bottom of the lights and the indicators and all that. They're working. So that's good. Wipers work and that sort of thing. We've got in here, because it's an ag spec, you've got your PTO clutch in here. You've got a 1 to 8 gears on here. We should have that flap on, but because we're having the dash in and out, just getting tidied up, you've basically got 1 to 8 gears without any splitters. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you can set off, say, in third if you're not towing a trailer, so you haven't got to go up through the gears like that. So you've got 1 to 8 there, forward and back shuttle there. We've got a variety of spools. There's 4 levers, but I think we've got 3 at the back at the minute. We've got 2 double acting at the back and 2 double acting at the front, which would make sense. Although I'm not sure, because you can move these all 4 ways. I don't know if that, say, could be the rear one and that could be the front one on the same, but I doubt it. I would think it's float and up and down and something else, maybe constant pump. Handbrake down here, high and low box here, I believe. Maybe even low, medium, high. I'll have to have a look. Then you can change your PTO speed from 540 to 1000, depending on what implements you want on the back. And then I'll have to get back to you on that one. Or I might have messed them around, but it's gears and PTO speeds, basically. So we're getting there. I want to do the inside of the cab. We're missing a bit of heat insulation. The floor's just a bit grotty. The seats are a bit grotty, so I'll probably get them cleaned and buy some seat covers, some black seat covers probably. I'd like to do the inside of the doors black as well. Probably do that in-house. I'll show you the next thing I need to do, because this is the problem with getting out. So I'm missing the bottom step, and you've probably seen in previous videos I made one and I didn't make it very well. Ben and his team of mechanics I suspect were laughing at me quite heavily. So I've took that off, and either I'll make a better one or they'll make me one. We'll see. Exhaust is not too bad, actually. I'm pretty pleased with that. I've polished this up as best I could. It looked nice with a new pipe, but we're spending plenty of money on it at the minute, so that's not really a necessity, but it's better. My brackets, my homemade brackets I've made, bit of scrap, just 3 holes in it, across for some new rubber bushes to hold that on. So that's held. Some of this white stuff is that exhaust gunky stuff, which will help seal it up hopefully in time. Now the thing we're struggling with the most is in the parts department. If I can find it, I had it a minute ago. It's a brake ABL valve is what it's called, and it was meant to be done before the Mog arrived, but it wasn't, and that is basically what's breaking the Unimog at the moment. So I don't want to go out anywhere with that like that. So what it's missing is this valve, which I believe changes brake pressure depending on how much load you have on the back axle. So it will say brake, I don't know, 80% on the back and 20% on the front if you've got a full load, or the other way, I don't know, something like that. But it balances the pressure. So the old owner did kindly send me this, but we're still missing the spring that was meant to be on it, some mounting points, some other bits and bobs. Again, a couple of weeks ago, he said that he'd put them in the post for me, but they are yet to arrive. So I've got Atkinson Voss on the job, which are very handy, and they're getting the remainder of the parts to put on there. And that is one of the last major things. Probably have to go down to Kennington's on his rolling road and just make sure it is all braking as it should be, because you know these Unimogs will do 50 mile an hour. Not that you probably can on the road legally, but certainly that with a low loader behind you, you want to be stopping, you know. So we better get that right. Had to have a new air pressure relief valve, I think it is, something like that, because it was dumping all the air out during build up, and then you'd turn the Mog off, the seal would reseat itself, and then you could start the Mog up again, build your air and go. So anyway, we've sorted that. What was meant to be a small job has turned into a bigger job, rear gearbox seal, but upon BC Agri's inspection, it's not just the seal, it's the bearing in the, I think it's at the rear of the gearbox, would it be the output shaft? He's telling me that he can do it without whipping the box off, and I bloody hope so, because that was not part of it. Should I have spotted that when I saw it? Possibly, maybe. There's a lot to look round, you know, and I did study mechanics, believe it or not, but I probably shouldn't be wielding a spanner. Anyway, we are where we are. It was still not a bad deal, and actually a lot of these parts from Voss are not too much money. It just takes time diagnosing what we're missing, putting the order in with them sourcing the part, then getting it to me, then getting it put on the machine. It's just took week after week after week. So it's taken quite a long time. I've took my rear mud guards off because they were held on by some old exhaust clamps on here. So I've rubbed them down. I'm just painting them with some black hammerite. Got some new exhaust clips to go on, and then we'll rehang them on there. So that will smarten that up. Finish my bracket for the air pipes from the trailer. I put a bolt through the back there, but I need to put another bolt at the front because it just moves still a bit, and I need to get something around that pipe to stop that chafing. So that's on the to-do list. Back end setup here. It's a bit of a funny one with this land anchor. It's not a standard 3-point linkage at all. In fact, I haven't got link arms at the moment, but it has had link arms on it, along with these check chains somehow. But the trouble is the whole land anchor goes up and down. So this goes up and down on the main lift arm rams. So it's not like it's on a yoke up there that will drop these drop arms, because they're just on a massive bit of steel going across there to support the weight once you've got a trailer on. So I'm thinking that we might be able to make some link arms that come out, maybe rest in some holders, and have the check chain still on maybe the threaded version, and then at least we would be able to pick stuff up. Apparently I had a top link come out of here, and then we could still do a variety of jobs that require a 3-point linkage, but you're going to have to be aware whatever you drop on the floor, this is going to be down near the floor. So if you need to get a mower down to the deck and cut low, you might well be ripping up the ground with that. So I don't know on that one, but it has got its rear PTO and obviously its drawbar, which acts as a pickup hitch, goes up and down with the land anchor. So I can tow anything and power anything that's, trail PTO, really. Got my winch up here, which has proved pretty good. We've got these, all these separate pipes and bits of nonsense going on. So we're gonna trim all this up and hide it away, and just have normal spool banks straight to my levers from the cab, say along here next to the other airline. So it's smarter, because at the moment you can plug the HIAB into those pipes, but then you've got to unplug the winch, and then all of that is just the lift arms, all the big rams that do the land anchor. But why they're on quick release as well, I've got no idea. We put a new electric box in and rewired the lights. New fuel sender, so it's earthing, I think, between the two, so it needs like a rubber grip in it. And obviously the elephant in the room is I need to get a body for it. Now again, Atkinson Voss had a frame that would fit on that lug there and that lug there, and then at the pivot point at the back, I think that was an X frame, and that's basically then the platform, the free floating platform to mount your tipping body or your three-way tipper or flatbed or something like that. But apparently it was fire damaged and it's not going to be suitable. So that has scuppered my plans fairish, because that weren't too much money for that. So we're going to have to try and make one. And the reason that it goes on those brackets is so the body and the chassis and the cab can all flex independently, I believe, because otherwise you can end up twisting the chassis on it. So yeah, we'll look at that. Perhaps at a later date. You know, I've got a few jobs to do with it that I'm itching to get out and do, so we don't need the back for that point. I did also wonder though if we should have a high-ab on the back there, because if I do want to do any sort of recovery or remote lifting and shifting with off-road capability, I've got to drag the low loader behind me everywhere, and that's on, well, are they even super singles? There'll be lorry tyres on it because it's a old drag trailer. So that's not really going to go across any sort of remote areas with the trailer on. So really, to maximise this output, I think I need either that high-ab or probably a better one and put it on there. My last Unimog, which I'll put a picture of up, that had the high-ab at the back, behind the back axle. And the trouble with that is when I put anything on, trailer-wise, it would squat no end on the back end and sit down, even though it had the assister springs on it. A lot of people have said about putting air on it, but it doesn't seem to be a common thing, putting air on a Mog. But it is light on the front, so I think if anything, I'd have the high-ab behind the cab, but you'd lose obviously probably 5 meters of reach onto your trailer. So if you had a high-ab there that wasn't that big, you'd have to disconnect every time you got to a site, so you'd be able to pick the container up, pick whatever you're picking up and put it on the low loader. So I don't know, but it's all an expense, isn't it? You know, and we're trying to keep that down. But yeah, I mean, it's getting there now. It's looking pretty good. Very happy with the paintwork from Lee. A couple of bits want touching up. But yeah, overall, pretty happy. So we'll report back when there's a bit more to do, but any input and suggestions are very welcome. I've had to order a workshop manual for this vehicle, and that's over £200 for the manual, so you can look through and see what's what and where stuff goes. So yeah, but then you can pay 50 quid for a seal and a bearing that goes to the back of the gearbox, which is quite a major part, you would say. Well, you know, not small in size, but it's obviously a critical part. But then without the manual, how would you know where to put it? Well, someone brighter than me would know exactly where to put it. But yeah, so we're getting there. I'm getting a little bit frustrated week after week, waiting for stuff, you know, blah, 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 but it's nature of it. I think everyone's struggling with parts, everybody's busy, and I must say Atkinson Voss, they have been really good. South Cave Tractors, they sent me, oh, what else have we done? I nearly forgot. We've had to do the master cylinder and the slave cylinder on it. I thought I just didn't feel like the clutch was as I wanted it to be. It wasn't too crisp, so we had to go bleeding it. And then that basically shat the seals out from would it be the master cylinder behind the clutch pedal. So we had all the seal in the pipe, so we took it off the bottom, which might be the slave cylinder. I might have got them the wrong way around. Pushed all the seal out, fresh oil in, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns out the slave cylinder underneath was buggered because that wasn't returning. So I had to make another week for that. But now we've bled it all up. That clutch is brand new. It's lovely to drive now. Just haven't got the correct braking set up to stop, so I don't go anywhere. So we use my little golf buggy, which I swapped for my car ramp. I put a car ramp in here the other day, and it pulled my floor out, which really annoyed me. So yeah, what I should have done is dug down and put some columns of concrete in, but it was one of those jobs that was meant to just be, it was a cheap ramp Euro auctions. I was meant to just bang it up, and so we could start doing our own stuff. And then when you start thinking, I've got to cut the floor out, put columns in, and blah blah blah, it then becomes not cheap, especially if you're not earning money off it. You're saving money on servicing vehicles to an extent, but you're not going to have a lot of change out of £1,000 for digging 2 holes like that and putting columns and concrete in it. And yeah, I haven't, I can't start everything, so we'll hang fire on that for now. But other than that, we're nearly ready. And I've probably, in parts, I don't think I've even spent £1,000 yet. Not that that's not a lot of money, but there's been a fair little few niggly problems, but we've managed to sort them relatively low cost. So yes, we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching.